Okay, honestly speaking, like 98% of men who went to watch this movie were going for Scarlett Johansson. Iron Man 2 is directed by Jon Favreau, written by Justin Theroux, and stars Robert Downey Jr., Don Cheadle, Scarlett Johansson, Sam Rockwell, and Mickey Rourke. Now, Iron Man 2 takes place 6 months after the events of the first movie, and here Tony Stark has pretty much privatized world peace. Like, him being Iron Man kind of guarantees America's safety and pretty much the world's safety. So, this kind of gets to his head, and he's kind of ego tripping all over the place. The government wants to confiscate the Iron Man suit because it's a weapon. This guy named Justin Hammer is kind of jealous of his success and wants to kind of be the new Tony Stark. And a man named Ivan Vanko feels like his family was betrayed by, the power Tony Stark now has and is out for revenge. And if that's not enough, Tony Stark discovers that the thing keeping his heart alive is also slowly killing him through like radiation poisoning or something like that. Now, I always wondered why Iron Man got a sequel so suddenly. Like, I always thought Marvel would establish its heroes first before making more sequels, but I guess the success of the first one really kind of made Marvel push for a sequel to Iron Man. And Iron Man 2 really is the first one to really start building up the universe, because in The Incredible Hulk, it was still like a standalone movie. There were some hints towards a bigger picture, but here you really know that they have this plan in mind already and they're going for it. And Iron Man 2 is extremely entertaining, but honestly speaking, it is very much a step down from the first one. But one reason why Iron Man 2 is so entertaining is because a 2 year advancement in visual effects technology does a big difference, man. Like, these suits and just the overall visual effects in this movie are fantastic. It's mind blowing. And again, we're in 2014 now, but looking back 4 years later, this stuff looks really, really great. I'm gonna sound like such a kid, but everything is just so shiny. That's what makes it so nice. I don't know, it's just shiny. Like Tony Stark's suits, even Ivan Vanko's Whiplash exoskeleton looks like it's from Elysium. And there's a lot more variety also in this movie because Tony Stark has a couple of different suits, and then you have the whole Whiplash thing, and Justin Hammer's own little drones also. And it's very much a robotics centered kind of movie, but at least the visual effects people know how to do it well. There's lots more detail also, especially when the suits get broken and stuff. It feels believable. And I really do have to bring up the hologram user interface thing that Tony Stark uses, because in the first one, it wasn't like that. It was there, but it wasn't like a huge part of it. But here, they really play around with the whole thing where Tony Stark's just kind of, playing Connect and moving stuff around. And they actually make it look really nice and real, It doesn't look like Robert Downey Jr. is just flinging his arms around. It really looks like there's a method to it. It's like he's a composer at a concert. In terms of like production design, good job to the production designers for really making for blowing stuff up and making it look believable. Whereas the first Iron Man movie, in terms of production design, was really more about setting up this big, elaborate, rich lifestyle. Iron Man 2, they pretty much destroy everything, but it's done well enough, I think. The sound design in this movie is good also. It's just that it sounds better when there's like lasers or gunfire. When it's an Iron Man suit hitting another robot, it kind of sounds a bit clunky at times. It's just kind of like hollow, and I didn't think that was like, yeah, I wanted something heavier. But overall, it was, effective also, and the lasers and the gunfire again, like, really, really sounds great. The score again is good, but not as good as Iron Man 1, but I guess that's just because, we're kind of used to Iron Man equating to, like, rock music and electric guitars. But it's always nice to hear AC/DC. We get two songs this time, whereas the first Iron Man had Back in Black and Iron Man. Now we get Shoot the Thrill and Highway to Hell, and hearing Highway to Hell in any movie is really, really great. In terms of acting, again, Robert Downey Jr. really just owns this role. Like, this is him, this is his signature role. And here, Tony Stark is a bit more of a dick, and at first I didn't really understand why, but watching it again, I kind of get that, he is going through a lot. He's dying, number one, and number two, it's for me, it's believable that he would let his ego get to him. But what always impresses me about Robert Downey Jr. is, again, the fact that when he's cracking jokes or when he's all depressed and stuff, not only is it believable, but he always stays true to his character. It's not like he's just really swinging back and forth between two emotions. He always has an undercurrent of arrogance or recklessness and stuff. Don Cheadle is in this movie as Rhodey, and he replaces Terrence Howard. I'm not sure why, and it bothers me sometimes when actors are replaced because I don't know, it just feels weird. But here, I actually think Don Cheadle did a really good job. In fact, I feel like they knew that Don Cheadle was replacing Terrence Howard, so they kind of rewrote Rhodey's role to fit Don Cheadle, and that's good. So you can't really compare between the two because they are playing like two different versions of Rhodey. Don Cheadle's Rhodey gets a lot more action than Terrence Howard, but he really, really plays it well. And speaking of our villains, I'm going to get to my problems with the villains later on. But despite their roles, Sam Rockwell and Mickey Rourke are really fantastic in their roles. Like Sam Rockwell is always fun to watch in any movie ever, and he actually almost feels like a very good kind of doppelganger of Tony Stark. He also is very arrogant and stuff, but he comes off as a bit more weaselly. And Sam Rockwell just plays it so well. He's just so fun to watch. And Mickey Rourke is kind of your typical Russian, big tough dude, but he does play it well also, and you also kind of get a sense of there's something driving this guy. He's not just a thug. And of course, Scarlett Johansson. I mean, what else is there to say about her? Not only is she really, really hot, but she actually does play this role well. She sells the fact that she is this secret agent who could break your neck. In terms of direction from Jon Favreau, again, like I feel like the parts where conversations are happening and stuff, they are handled very well. They never feel static. But what really impressed me here was that the fight direction is amazing. Like every single fight here is so fun to watch and it's so well orchestrated. And you got quite a few fights here. Instead of Iron Man 1 had just like a couple of main fights, this one you really get lots of big set pieces and they are super, super entertaining. However, like I said, Iron Man 2 I think is really a step down from the first one, and I have quite a few problems with it that really bothered me. First of all, like it does feel kind of slow. Like the first Iron Man movie, while not so much action happened, it was always interesting to watch, mainly because of the character of Tony Stark and how, you would just see him kind of building things and you'd kind of peek into how his mind works and stuff, and that was really interesting. Here we don't really get much of the building. It's really him trying to figure out how to solve the heart problem and lots of other things, but it's just not as fascinating to watch. This isn't the director's fault, though. I really think it's just the fact that it has it in the script that he's not really building anything. And I don't know, like tonally speaking, this movie doesn't really move away from the whole, Tony Stark being a dick and him pretty much getting the arguments with everybody. So that kind of does drag on. My biggest problem with this movie really is the plot. Like, I'm not really sure what happened with the plot. I mean, why is it like this? I mean, the dialogue is still very good. It's very fun to listen to. It's just that the plot either falls apart by the end or is never ever convincing enough to really make an impact. Number one, the villains are really, really weak. For something called Iron Man 2, yeah, you have kind of like two Iron Men because you have, Iron Man and War Machine played by Don Cheadle, but you also get two villains and they both happen to be really weak. Again, the actors playing these villains are really good, and Sam Rockwell is great as Justin Hammer. It's just that, what is this guy? I mean, come on, like he's not imposing at all in any way, and his drones aren't very strong either. So it's like, I don't know, like he just seemed very caricaturish. But I guess Sam Rockwell was able to kind of sell it. And then Mickey Rourke, like Whiplash, just kind of shows up, and his motivation is extremely weak, and he never really gets enough fighting time, and he's not necessarily a good matchup to Iron Man and War Machine. And one of my bigger problems also, which I know a lot of people have a problem with also, is that there's a certain problem that when this is resolved, it's completely unbelievable. Like the way the road they take to fix this problem is so like, what's happening, that I completely did not buy it. And don't talk to me about the suspension of disbelief, because the thing with Iron Man is it's always been kind of grounded in reality, and here they really reach like really kooky territory. It's like it's not even I don't even think it's possible in the realm of fictional comic book physics, because it's just too much. It's so far fetched and like such an easy way out. So overall, Iron Man 2 really is just okay, because these problems really do drag it down from the smart, intelligent action movie it was in the first one. Again, it lacks the very grounded realism of the first one, the grounded intelligence, and it lacks the strong character development. Again, the villains are weak. Like Marvel at this point didn't really have any good villains. However, Iron Man 2 is still mega entertaining. Like again, it's another movie you can watch over and over again, and it's just just kick back, have some popcorn, have fun. And that's my review of Iron Man 2. What did you guys think of it? What do you think was better, Iron Man 1 or 2? Whatever you think, please leave me a comment. Let's have a conversation.